Welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly, bringing you Transformers news from around the world and across Australia for this one little month, the last month of the first half of the year. Episode 270, recording live on Sunday, June 4th, 2023. This month, this half year, we're going to talk Rise of the Beast. All the trailers, everything's out. It's going to be released this coming week in Australia, early screenings of course, and the crew has assembled to discuss it. Jason, how are you?
I'm good. I'm in a very different setting. So we're doing this on Skype. It's very different than what we've been doing for the last couple of years. I've moved to Melbourne. I don't have a very good setup for recording podcasts or live streams or anything at the moment. So I am currently sitting on my bed downstairs. There'll be footsteps up as people walk across the roof above me and all sorts of things. So I need to do a little bit of work. I've been in Melbourne for about a month and a half to 2 months now, and I need to do a little bit of work on getting a space set up down here. And this is why everything's been very quiet since I've moved. It's a good thing this isn't video, because people would notice there is a record player, just as an indication of how old things in this room are. There's a record player there, and there's a set of shelves up behind me that I've started to put my clothes on, because this is my bedroom now. So yeah, Melbourne life is very different to Sydney life, and we'll leave it at that for now. So yeah.
Well, to tell us about Sydney life, we got Mikey back.
I was about to say, does that mean you're like Harry? Are you like Harry Potter situation? You're literally living under stairs?
No, I'm on the lower level of the house.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like in a little like Harry Potter situation. Yeah, all good. Look, Sydney. Yeah, we've been good here. Speaking of Rise of the Beast,
can I actually just say, I've moved to Melbourne in April. It's bloody cold.
It is.
I've moved to Melbourne. Like everyone knows, I used to be in Sydney. Like I've moved to Melbourne with a Sydney wardrobe, and my Sydney wardrobe is not coping with Melbourne weather.
No.
It's not good.
You're gonna have to buy long everything soon. Everything of yours is just gonna be long
and woolen.
But yes. Yeah, look, being in Sydney's actually been really good for our topic today, because we've had a couple of different events happening for the movie. We've had, obviously, to start in the last few months, we were invited to the unveiling of the statues at Taronga Zoo. So we had Optimus Primal.
Now in Times Square.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, so here's me being silly, thinking it was just one statue going all around the world. There's multiple statues.
There's two or three, I think we worked out a few weeks ago. Because
it's just
they're in London as well.
How can this be in Sydney today and in like Singapore tomorrow? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah,
wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Exactly.
Stuff.
It's Transformers. There's lots of different things that can happen. So yeah, we were invited to that. That's really cool. They were so impressive up close, and we got to get up close and personal with those, so that was great. And then this shirt I'm actually wearing right now, which is the Soundwave variant, is from the Radio Velvet and Hasbro collab they did at King's Comics. Yep, for the More Than Meets the Eye art exhibition. So this being one of the art pieces. That went really well. That was a really cool night, and I think overall was quite successful for King's Comics and Hasbro in general.
So that was the VIP night that we attended, but the exhibition was on for the entire month of April.
Yeah. So I went to it. I went to it, I think, 2 more times after the VIP night. So it went through the whole month of May. Was it? No. What month was it?
April.
Sorry, I'm getting my months mixed up. Yeah. So it was the whole month of April. That went really well. They sold a lot of product. They sold a lot of shirts and posters and all the different items they could sell with these prints on it. And everyone that I know went, absolutely adored it and had a great time. And so the promotion for this movie has been really good here. I think Jason failed to mention actually something that happened, I think, in the last week for Melbourne that was Transformers related.
Yeah. Hey, you said I failed to mention. I haven't had a chance to mention it. We're going.
Well, do it now.
We're going chronologically. I want to actually just because it's been a while, so let's just chat for a bit, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, before you do, also Max, welcome Max.
Hi, Max.
Right.
I haven't been talking because nothing ever happens in Adelaide.
Yeah. Well, you are still in Adelaide, so.
It is true. Unfortunately, nothing does happen in Adelaide. It's been a poorly kept secret on the Facebook group, and so like people who listen to the podcast will know this anyway because a lot of them would have been invited. There are screenings for people of Rise of the Beasts on June the 8th, which is before the public screenings that are happening. But of course, as Max said, nothing happens in South Australia. They're in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Perth. They've just neatly jumped over Adelaide. Max is actually coming to Melbourne this week, and so Max and I will be hanging out.
Oh, that's awesome.
On the 8th of June. But yeah, so like, if you're listening to this in the Facebook group and you're like, why didn't I know about this? We couldn't get everyone into it, so we didn't want to make a public post and disappoint everyone about it. But we've gotten as many people as we could into the screening for June the 8th. We've prioritised getting club members in instead of just sort of taking members of the public. So I hope those of you who have been able to come along to the screenings on June the 8th, it is a big thing that Hasbro and Paramount invited so many fans to these screenings. So we are very grateful to them for doing it. And there's gonna be a big meetup on Thursday for in Melbourne and in Sydney and in Brisbane and in Perth. And so we're all really looking forward to it. It's simultaneous meetups. This hasn't actually happened, I think, before ever in the club's history.
I think it's a thing that we've talked about doing, but it's never happened. So, yes.
I think it's just amazing that they actually, took time to think about us and actually invite us. So I am actually really grateful for them actually doing this and not just. Like I am actually grateful it's just not Sydney and they've actually spread it. Not everywhere, but they spread it as far as they could, which they can't obviously do everything. But they've touched a lot of fans, and in fact, I know two people who are coming out of Adelaide to these screenings. I know Max is coming to Melbourne. He's not coming to Melbourne for the screening, but you did modify your schedule so that you could make the screening.
It was I wasn't sure if I was going to Melbourne, and then this came up, and I was like, right, I'm going to Melbourne.
I'm going to Melbourne, yes. And Diamond Bolt is heading over to Sydney for the Sydney screening.
Oh, wow. I get to meet Diamond Bolt, so that's pretty cool.
Is Diamond Bolt from Adelaide?
Yeah.
Ah.
That's cool.
Maybe you should pop him a message and have a chat. He probably lives down the road from you.
Be weird. Yeah, every once in a while you find out that someone that lives around the corner. There's like a weird amount of like YouTubers and stuff that live in Adelaide.
Can I just, on that note, I just found out that one of my Facebook friends, who I've had on Facebook for quite some time, is literally my next door neighbour. And he's a Transformers fan, and I had no idea. And I was just selling something one day in TCCA. He's just like, "Oh, hey, you live at 2125. That's cool. Me too." He's like, we had a long conversation. He sent me a map. Says, "I live here," and then I sent him the map back, and I'm just like, "I live right next to you." So yes, we are now very, very good friends. Not only is he a Transformers fan, he's also an NRL fan. So we go to games together, and so good on TCCA for making friendships out of nowhere, which is great.
Fantastic.
Friendships happen.
Let's wind the clock forward slightly. So we talked a little bit about the Sydney Melbourne Meets the Eye event. What we didn't actually mention about the Sydney Melbourne Meets the Eye event was that a number of members of the community actually had displays there, including yours truly, myself. I had a glass cabinet full of toys that mean a lot to me and stuff that I like. And I had a lot of e-hobby figures, shattered glass, animated, and some pins, because that's kind of what happens in my Transformers collecting sphere. And I haven't got them back yet. They're somewhere in Radio Velvet's office in Melbourne. Okay. No, that's fine. I know where they are. Right. So because I was in the middle of moving between Sydney and Melbourne at the time, I dropped everything into King's Comics, and then I went to Melbourne because I was in the middle of moving back and forth. And then they packed it all up and they shipped it down to Melbourne for me. So I need to go and get it. But where I'm living at the moment, I don't have space to put Transformers up on display or anything, so I'm not really in a rush to get it back. It's just going to go into storage.
I've got to be honest. When I gravitated towards your section, when I just saw members of the public just looking at your display, everyone loved your pins. Like everyone were drawn to your pin collection. Actually,
I'm actually really glad. Eddie Zammit, who's the curator of the exhibition, said he was also a big fan of the pins. So I'm really happy for that because I love collecting Transformers pins. I mean, I like collecting. I collect pins, but I'm very specific about the pins. Like, people send me a lot of pins. They're just like, do you want any of these pins? I'm like, they're not Transformers, and they're not, like, tech companies or Google or anything like that. So, like, I don't. I just had an offer for some pins from a convention today, and I looked at them and yeah, like, that's cool, but, like, they're cool pins, but I don't need them. But, yeah, no, I was very happy. They put my pin board, which I've photographed and put in the group quite a lot. It's actually a tiny subset of the pins that I have now. I think I've got enough pins to fill another couple of pin boards. But I was really happy. It went really well, and I thought it was also really good to be able to sort of show what the fan community can do in the Transformers space as well. Yeah, it was quite notable from that front. And of course, the other thing is on that pin board, there's also a pin that I manufactured or paid for, and I got. It was the Matrix pin that I gave out to people at TF Nation in 2019, and that was designed by a good friend in Melbourne, Justin Masaru, who will be at the screening for us on Thursday night. Lovely gentleman, great member of the community as well. So that was the More Than Meets the Eye exhibition. It was a good time. I did think that it was a little bit funny that it was there to promote the upcoming Rise of the Beasts figure, but most of us who put figures on display did not have beasts in our display, so it's like, well,
there were very few. Yeah, I did notice. Yeah, oh well.
That's true. And so, yeah, as you mentioned, there was another event in just the last few days in Melbourne. There was a sales event at JB Hi-Fi, now rechristened JB, as in JBEE for Bumblebee, at the JB Hi-Fi Chadstone store here in Melbourne. It was fantastic. Hasbro turned up and put a bunch of figures up for prizes, and just said between 6 and 8 p.m. if you buy a Transformers product, you can spin the wheel and you can walk away with some extra prizes. And they had some exclusive dioramas, which is just a sort of nice place to pose some figures, take some photos, that kind of thing. You couldn't get them anywhere else. Those dioramas were a bit of an exclusive. There's a bit of confusion. I've got these, the recording, the Skype recording. I've got these collectible lanyards that Hasbro gave me on the night and said these are going to be at JB Hi-Fi stores around the country. People have been going into JB Hi-Fi stores around the country and asking for them and stuff. It's just like, I don't know.
That's true. Yes, I was with someone and he bought a Transformers figure, and I didn't think to ask for it, but I thought it just would have been automatically given. But yeah, we bought a Transformer and there was nothing given.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I was told that they're going to be at all JB Hi-Fi stores around the country. Maybe not. Maybe they'll be next week. I don't know. I need to find out. Need to follow up what's going on with that. But it was a lovely night. We had a lot of Transformers fans, and not just TCCA fans as well. Like, there's a bunch of people from Transformers. There were even some people who are on TFW 2005 in the Australian sightings thread, and they don't even use Facebook, but they found out about the event in there, and so. I'm really happy with the turnout to that event. I turned up at about 10 to 6, and there were just people standing around in the middle of the store waiting for 6 p.m, and they all had Transformers under their arms, waiting for 6 p.m. so that they could go to the checkout with their Transformers products. So that was really good. Hasbro gave away Titans. There was the blue Omega Supreme, the Guardian Sentinel Titan went off a few times. I think that was actually the first prize to go off as well. They were giving away movie tickets, and when they're giving away movie tickets, like, people would spin the wheel and they're like, "Oh, I got a double pass to see Rise of the Beasts." Okay, thanks a lot, guys. And they're like, "Those are gold class tickets." Oh, right, fair enough. Thank you very much. That's much better, right? And yeah, so there was the diorama. There were free figures, and I don't think anyone who bought a Transformers item on the night came away disappointed. Some people came away with, $250, $280 Titans. Some people came away with, $50 or $100 worth of figures. It was lovely. The Hasbro folks were really stoked to get out and chat with people in the community. TCCA's one of our Melbourne residents, Alan Jones, turned up wearing a Transformers themed shirt with a lot of comic art on it, and the Hasbro guys just loved him. They took photos of him holding Optimus Prime toys, and it was fantastic. Simon brought along his Roboson Prime, so we were doing auto voice converting demonstrations. And at one point, we tried to get a photo of Alan with an Optimus Prime figure, and we realised that's actually the only Optimus Prime figure that's out of the box in the store. So we had to run off, come back with the Roboson Prime, and get Alan to pose with some photos for it. But it was a really good time. It was a really fun night, and again, really thankful. Thank you very much to Hasbro for organising it and getting everyone together. It was just a lovely time had by all.
Nice.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely incredible.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so, to finish off the introductions, hi, I'm Brad. You probably haven't heard from me for a while. I'm going to try and steer this rusty ship, but I don't know, we're not doing too well so far.
Yeah, we're all a bit rusty, and it's fine. We're just having a nice little conversation.
Yeah, and I should mention while we're talking about conversation, all the stuff we're going to be talking about Rise of the Beast tonight, we're going to be just going off the TV spots, frame discussion around what we've seen, publicly released. We're not really going to talk about reviews, that sort of thing, any sort of spoilers.
We're not here to spoil the movie.
No.
We're not Lorenzo di Bonaventura. So.
Yes.
We can't see Brad's camera, so we're taking his word for
it. I'm not going to put on an Italian accent. So last time we tried or had a recording was mid-Feb, so that would have been just after we got the TV spot for the Super Bowl. So since then there's been a dozen trailers, there's been 500 TV spots. Yes. They've showed us a lot of this film.
I mean, they've shown the film. It's been world premiered. There's reviews and there's a lot of spoilers out there.
Yeah. So anyway, going off the trailer, obviously Primal's telling us that the maximals have been hiding for a long time, seemingly from Unicron, and we get the shot of Scourge in front of Unicron being sent to Earth to locate the transwarp key, so Unicron can traverse the galaxies.
Actually, can we talk a little bit about the casting for Unicron?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So Unicron is voiced by Coleman Domingo, who may not be super well known to people, but if you've watched Fear the Walking Dead, then he's pretty well known to us from that show. Like, he has an amazing voice, and I reckon when it comes to Unicron's voice performance, we're probably in for a bit of a treat here.
I wonder how much it's going to be modulated and affected, though.
Is he very deep and is he very?
Oh yeah.
That's all we want.
He's very deep, and he's also very charismatic in his performance and stuff as well. At least in Fear the Walking Dead. So it'll be interesting to see what he sort of brings to Unicron as well.
That's what we need from a Unicron. We just need a deep, bellowing kind of voice, and I think that'll work really well.
Who have we got for Unicron in the past? I mean, obviously Orson Welles in the '86 movie. We had John Noble in Transformers Prime.
Yeah, he was great.
And I'm not sure what we had for Armada.
I'm checking now. But
anyone it was fine, but it wasn't
I straight up can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I remember his voice, but it wasn't anywhere I think John Noble, Orson Welles, and this guy have the same kind of depth that you want for Unicron. But I don't think the Armada Unicron was really going for an Orson Welles-y type thing. I think it was just going for its own thing. So
it was Mark Atchison.
Yeah.
Mark Atchison, very well. That's fine, don't worry.
Yeah, and for the
I also actually haven't watched Armada anyway. That's not a thing on my radar.
Yeah.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, I don't think from the couple of lines the air quotes character of Unicron had in Beast Wars 2, I think that would have been just David Kay or Gary Chalk or someone throwing in those couple of lines, because it was the same voice when we had the aliens for that were in there. So
the Vok.
Yeah.
Wait, are you saying Unicron was in Beast Wars?
Yeah, for a
headless,
bit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Unicron. It was a
yeah.
illusion by the Vok.
Yeah.
I think I need to. I think I probably need to recuse myself from further Beast discussions that I didn't know about.
Yeah. So you haven't seen Armada, you haven't seen Beast Wars. Come on, Chase. Call yourself a Transformers fan.
Yeah, you got to sort of touch on it all.
I'm a Transformers fan.
I suppose.
If I hadn't seen these shows, I just wouldn't admit it. I just,
So this is the difference between you and I, Max. I think it's funnier to admit it.
It's just I'm just gonna pretend to be an expert in anything, and you know what? It's a 50-50 chance of has someone listening to this watched Beast Wars? Probably not.
Yeah.
So you can just make up whatever shit, and they're not gonna. They're not gonna know.
Someone will. Should also mention too, we did mention it briefly in the pre-show, but everywhere this has been marketed as Transformers 7 on the merch, all that sort of stuff. We know it takes place in 1994. Jason?
Yes,
I'm not on board with it being marketed as Transformers 7. Like, it isn't in the logo. It is in the toy listings because it is the 7th Transformers movie. So it's simply a delineation of like what movie is this from, and it's MV7 on like studio series listings. But I don't think it's fair to say it's being marketed as Transformers 7. It's definitely just Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. People are just going, yes, it's the 7th Transformers movie, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Max, I think you posted in the Facebook group the Netflix or one of the streaming services that's got The Last Night back up in the top 10 films to watch or whatever at the stage too. So maybe the general public sort of looking at The Last Night and thinking I've got to see this before I see the next film as well. I know we speculated.
I actually reckon The Last Night may have enjoyed a very late resurgence because Unicron has turned up in the trailer. For Rise of the Beast. Mm-hmm. So people are like, well, shit, I need to watch the last thing that had Unicron in it. So maybe it's not so bad that it's actually front of mind for people and revising it. Also, I do want to point out you said in the show notes that streaming services are bumping it back into the top 10, but like that's people watching it that's bumping it into the top 10. Like that is absolute viewer ratings going in and going, oh, I better watch this movie again. So I think it's interesting that everyone seems to have forgotten Bumblebee, but yeah.
Mm.
The film that's actually in the same continuity as this one,
and also good.
Yeah.
Well, apparently
we're talking about reboots and continuity and all of that. It's you can and ah it up until this point, and then you go, well, in the Last Night, Unicron is Earth, and in this movie,
hey, you don't know what's going to happen by the end of this movie, or I'm going to say by the end of this trilogy, because this. The reports are saying that this is really setting this up for a trilogy, and this is the start of a new three film setup.
Yeah, we know the symphony.
I will wait and see if Unicron becomes in the next few movies.
Well, we see in the trailer the big circular hole in the Earth opening up, and there's some sort of device that's going to repel him or suck him into Earth or something that's going to come. I suspect.
I haven't seen that part of it.
Oh well. Yeah. Anyway.
That's like the big battle that's going on in the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though that looks nothing like Peru, but anyway, it's just going to be interesting to see what sort of lore they throw forward here with Unicron, because we do get Prime telling us it's not our war, and that in the trailer too. So obviously he should know who Unicron is.
Can I just quickly say, if this is not a reboot, how did everyone from the 90s forget what Transformers were in 2007? How come Transformers was a foreign concept to them in 2007 if in the 90s they had a monster-eating planet about to eat the planet?
Mikey, have you paid any attention to like the post-COVID world and everyone has forgotten what happened a couple of years prior?
Maybe, I guess. But like, you think a giant eating monster planet thing coming out of the sky would be very memorable?
The way I see it
is the thing, right? No, go on, Max.
The way I see it is the Bay movies aren't very good.
In between
each movie,
Max,
a lot
I'll be
of
honest,
things
I was expecting you to say something more controversial there. Go on.
like in between each movie, like they just sort of forget things. Like the cast just changes out of nowhere.
That's
Characters just stop and start out of nowhere. So it's kind of like, if it is part of that same continuity, then changing shit completely inexplicably without making any sense whatsoever between movies would actually be perfectly in character and would fit the continuity.
You mean like introducing an entirely new faction that's always been on Earth?
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah,
like
it's the thing
it
I
would
mentioned
just
before.
if it is if it is in the same continuity, that makes perfect sense. This is just the rules of the game.
Let's not forget that Bumblebee was already on Earth in World War II, according to the
Yes,
last
even though he just came to Earth.
Yeah. It's serialized storytelling.
But like,
serialized
they already
storytelling,
did,
it's just
they
not in the
already
right
did this between Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon, between Dark of the Moon and AOE. Like they just chopped and changed whatever. Like it was just like
Maybe
throwing
that
shit
was
all
good.
and seeing what sticks. So if we say, oh well, these movies are these new movies are incompatible with the old Bay movies, or the Bay movies are incompatible with the Bay movies. So no, it's.
I was going to say, Brad said it's serialized storytelling, and I said it's just in the wrong order. So basically, that turns it into the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Well,
Do we want that?
I'm watching, doing a first watch of TNG at the moment, and just how stuff was told, stories were told back then. It's very jarring.
Hang on. Did you say you're doing a first watch
Yes.
of TNG?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you doing it because you want to like get up to Picard now?
I've already watched Picard, so now I'm going back. Yes.
Yeah, so it really is the Fast and the Furious storytelling style for you. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've had your Tokyo Drift moment.
Yeah, that was
It's time to
Voyager.
get up to it. Yeah.
That was Voyager. Yes.
No, we're stretching this analogy.
Yeah, yep. As you said, Jason, stuff introduced here, the beasts being on Earth without us knowing it. We get the Terracons brought in here too, led by Scourge. Our new minions for the film, no Predacons, so I hate everyone calling this the Beast Wars movie when we don't even have Predacons in this.
Can I just point out? There's a couple of things I need to point out.
Yep.
We have been told that all the factions are in the film, right?
Okay.
We've even been told that there's Decepticons. We haven't seen any Decepticons in any of the pre-release info. We were told that Transit, who's the one that transforms into a school bus, is a Decepticon, but also late word appears to be that Transit has been cut
Which
from the
is
film.
a absolute crime because
Anyway.
I'm just saying, I've always wanted a bus transformer. We were so close. We had a live action bus transformer, and then he looked pretty funky, but like
We
he
don't
turned into a
really
bus.
know. We don't really know. Anyway.
It'd be amazing if he was, but yeah, I'm just saying if he is cut, sad.
Well,
It might turn up in the sequels.
the director said it might be in the deleted scenes.
Yeah, but like I hope a fully rendered deleted scene. I don't want just one of those storyboard things.
And,
But yeah, but Brad, what about the Scorponok's? We've seen Scorponok's in the trailer. They're Predacons.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Are they Predacons or are they Terracons?
They're like it's.
Or is it just more
There's
Scorponok
toys out
minions?
of that Scorponok, which with the box art being the Scorponok model from the movie, and the faction symbol is a Predacon.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
It's just that
But who
seems
knows?
to correlate with being a mass-produced Unicron Terracon thing rather than an actual individual name
But-
Scorponok.
In one, I think in the official trailer, we do see a very short glimpse of something that looks like a dragon or maybe a pterosaur kind of transformer, like a big kind of beast that could be a Predacon. Just before, like you see that scene where Bumblebee gets stabbed at the museum. So, but that's all in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler.
Well,
There's some kind of big winged beast that's, I think, maybe spouting fire or something that may be a Predacon, may also be a Terracon, but it's something. It could be. Who knows?
Well,
We don't know until we see the movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
The
But
other thing I want to point out, I just want to point out there's a promotional pin pack that's going around in Asia that has 5 faction logos in it to promote Rise of the Beasts, Autobot, Decepticon, Maximal, Predacon, and Terracon.
Okay.
So by that, we should have all factions.
Yeah,
in the movie.
Yep. And being a Transformers movie, I would not be surprised if they just go, well, we need a Megatron, let's throw Transmetal 3 Megatron in there and just have Dragon Megatron and skip all these
that'd
previous.
be sick if it was that. That would be really, really good.
Yeah.
But, well, interestingly, I don't know if it has anything to do with the movie or if it's just incorrect packaging. But the box for the tow truck, whose name is Battletrap, the box for Battletrap has a picture of his face, and on the top of the head of his crest of his head is a Decepticon symbol. So unless that's just a mistake on that part or whatever, my theory is, and it's just a theory, there's nothing confirming this, my theory is most of the Terracons are like Decepticons that have been brought back to life, and they have some kind of power which makes them actually more of a threat than just a Decepticon. So that's why, unless it could just be a complete stuff up from the whoever was making the render of Battletrap, but Battletrap does have a Decepticon symbol on his head, so he could have been maybe a Decepticon in his former life and maybe went to the Terracons. Who knows? But there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, my internet
How
just cut out. I
unlike
missed most of
Unicrons
that, but-
Yeah, how unlike Unicron, yeah.
Yeah.
How unlike Unicron to reanimate dead Transformers? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we've never seen that happen before. So yeah.
And it sort of makes sense too, because we sort of look at the design of Scourge, and he does look a lot different robot form than what Nightbird and the other Terracons are. So maybe yes, he was sent to Earth by Unicron, and he's either recruited defected Decepticons or yeah.
I gotta say, I love the fact that in all of this speculation, we can link this stuff back to historical Transformers lore, and there's not an expectation that this movie is going to step all over it. I think there's a lot of expectation, a lot of early buzz from the film is that it's actually really faithful to the lore that's come before, even if it's a new spin on stuff. And it's like, yep, sure, we found a new way to have Autobots and Maximals coexist on Earth, but you know, Terracons, Unicron, all of this stuff links into things that have come before, and I think it's very respectful of the source materials.
Well, yeah, and more so to remind me and those that are listening that don't, Terracons, they were a combiner team from G1, weren't they? Different beasts?
Yeah, so you got like Hunger, Rippersnapper,
Yeah.
Cutthroat. Oh, he's testing me. Hunger, Rippersnapper, Cutthroat.
Hunger, Rippersnapper, Cutthroat, Blot.
Hunger,
Rippersnapper, hold on.
Cinetwin.
This is like
Cinetwin.
This is like
Yeah,
the 12
well,
days
yeah.
of Christmas. Every time you
and
run
they
through it, you
formed
plug-
Abominus. Yeah.
So obviously not bringing those in, they're just using the name Terracons.
That we know of.
Okay, yep.
Who knows?
I think in this context, Terracons. I mean, because Terracons have meant a couple. They've meant that group, and they've meant Unicron things,
And zombies.
associated things, a couple different times.
Yep.
In
I
Prime,
guess
they
in this
were.
context, it's
Yeah, exactly. In Prime, they were reanimated zombies from Unicron's blood. So, you know, which is Dark Energon. So, yeah. Who knows?
Yep. Alright, moving on, we'll touch on the cast now. Seemingly small that we know of again. Small sort of cast on all the factions that we know of. Mirage and Noah are all over most of the TV spots in that. RC Wheeljack, Bumblebee, Stratosphere, and Prime himself. Again, when we talked last time, we hadn't had some of the character art come forward, namely Wheeljack and Stratosphere. Some of the issues fans have had, seemingly going back to the goofy, stereotypical Bay designs. We're going to see in a week's time just how stupid and goofy those things look when you do compare them to the Terracons. Okay.
I reckon they're likely to just be fine. I mean, all of this speculation and complaining, like, there's, as long as the movie's not out, people will find things to discuss and they'll find things to complain about.
I have two things to say on this stupid goofy debate. One is, look, every giant plain Autobot that we've had so far has been a senile old man.
Yep.
I don't mind. It's fine. as long as Stratosphere is an interesting character, he's voiced by John DiMaggio, which is a win because he's fantastic. And from the like small thing, there was this very short TV spot that showed, yes, he's a fumbling, old, senile, gigantic robot. He's huge, like he's like the size of a building. Hopefully I think he looks cool, and I think he'll be an interesting character. So I think he'll be better than Jetfire. I'm hoping we don't get him farting parachutes like Jetfire did, because that was really, really silly. He did cough up some kind of motor or a transformer head when he landed, which was interesting, but anyway. So I have faith in him being a good character. But then the other major thing was, speaking of silly designs, is Wheeljack. And I watched an interview. There's this really cool kid on YouTube called Alfonso. He's been doing really cool interviews with the cast and crew, and he actually somehow got an interview with the director, Stephen Campbell Jr. And one of his questions was, okay, hey, look, in the Travis Knight movie, Wheeljack looked really cool, really faithful, and really G1. And he says, what was your thinking to make him basically look completely different in this movie? And according to the director, Stephen Campbell Jr., there is a reason why Wheeljack looks like this, and it's not just pulled out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So he is hoping that stands to truth, and we get a really cool reasoning for why he goes from looking very much like a cartoon Wheeljack to a stereotypical nerd wearing overalls. But that being said, I like the design. It's fine. Like, movie bots look different to what we think, so I don't care.
Do you know what? I've only ever read the problem with Wheeljack as being the face design. I've never clocked anything about overalls.
Yeah, so funnily enough, he has overall. I think it's quite quirky and funny and like cool. But so if you look at his design, he has seat belts strewn down his chest as kind of overall type thing, which is kind of cool. But he's going for the whole, 90s nerd type of look, and look, it's fine. I don't care. I'm just really happy that we have our first combi Transformer, so at least that's going to be in the movie.
Yep.
But yeah, so just saying that, I am happy with. I think the way that this movie's progressing, I think it'll be a great movie, and things that people have issues with will hopefully be resolved by watching the movie, and hopefully everyone can enjoy the changes. So yeah.
And Stratosphere better be a leader figure.
I'm actually hoping for bigger than leader, because he's a big boy in the movie.
Okay.
The little short that they've released, he is he completely towers over them.
He's huge.
It's the size of G1 Omega Supreme versus Optimus Prime. It's that kind of big.
Yeah, because he's sitting on the side of the hill. He's he's sitting in the position that Omega Supreme. He's sitting the way that Omega Supreme was sitting when he was talking to Prime, which was cool. So I'm actually hoping for a Commander, maybe Titan, but we're probably not.
Movie Titan would be pushing it, but it would be awesome.
Oh, look, imagine just a gigantic plane Transformer. How cool would that be?
I would love it. I'm just I don't think it'll happen, but it would be incredible.
We can dream, though.
Well, they need something to do after the Nemesis, so you never know. Don't rule it out. We'll see how much the movie makes, how much they want to promote that stuff. But Stratosphere, what else we got? We got Prime. Prime's doing his. I'm Optimus Prime. Same old. The Beasts, I think they all look pretty good. Primal Rhinox, Cheetor, and A-Razor. Again, we're going to see.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say as well, and I haven't read any reviews or spoilers about this, but I was told a few months ago that there's actually a lot more beasts in this film than we've seen in the trailers.
Yep.
And in the pre-release stuff. So I don't think that's it for the maximals, but maybe the others might be sort of less speaking parts. They might just be in the background and stuff. But I'm pretty sure that there's a lot more beasts in here.
Well, we know that Ape Link's in it.
He's been shown. He's the So Ape Link has been shown in multiple trailers. So he's the one that looks like Primal, but he has he's all silver with red eyes, and he has the blades on his arms. So that's Ape Link. Yeah, so that I originally when I watched that
character Ape Link.
Yes.
No, it's a BotCon character. Imagine we're getting a BotCon character in a Michael Bay, in a live action movie.
No, that's pretty awesome.
So when I was watching that trailer, I'm just like, oh, okay, so this is pre-Optimus Primal when he looks a bit different. But no, apparently or at least what I'm going off on my head canon, he's like the leader of the maximal planet or whatever it is, because apparently maybe the maximals come from their own planet or something, is what I'm kind of piecing together from this.
Very much what it looks like.
Yeah,
like,
and
I'd say it's like probably what they called Eucharist.
Something like, yeah, the planet of the beasts. And like I would just see him as maybe the leader at the time. Maybe this was a flashback or something, and he's like the big leader, and then a commotion ensues, and then he dies. Maybe by Scourge's hand, possibly. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, one of the spots they released has him fighting Scourge.
Yeah.
And I think we can just based on trailers, we can pretty reliably say Unicron's going to eat that planet. And
which sucks.
Because we see him eating a planet in the trailer, and then Primal's got a line about, darkness has found us once again. So, to me, that reads like
seems good to stand to reason. Yeah.
And also, I mean, depends how spoilery, based on how spoilery you want to get based on publicly available promo material. But there is the track listing from the soundtrack.
I'm avoiding those.
Yeah, let's
okay,
not.
Let's not. All right, not the score, but the soundtrack. So songs that weren't made for the film, but that are being inserted into the film.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Because apparently I've heard that there are scores in the soundtrack that say "ooh, this character killing this character" or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen the track listing. It's absolutely like that.
Okay, so I want to avoid that. But
I wasn't going to go into that stuff, but I was going to say the soundtrack specifically. So things like the On My Soul, the rap song that they did. That's the soundtrack. But the first, stop me if it's getting too spoilery. But the first track,
I just want to hear you. I just want to hear you dance around this because I know what you're getting at.
But the first track listed in that soundtrack is Unicron's theme from the '86 movie.
No, yes, that's not a spoiler.
Men.
That was released. Yeah. So the cool thing, it's not really a spoiler, I'd say.
So it's sort of it's sounding to me if that stuff plays in order, it's going to open with Unicron. He's going to eat that planet.
I hope so. Imagine if it just that'd be great.
And
I do want to point out, this is not necessarily music that's used in the movie. It's the songs from and inspired by album, right? So, yes, the 86 Unicron theme may be on it. I reckon you might hear it in the background. It might be playing on a stereo or something somewhere in the film, but I don't think it's going to be actually played directly in the background of the movie.
I think a modern version, so they put that in there as just
so the score may echo, but generally with this stuff, when it says on this album, it says it's Unicron's theme by Vince DiCola, blah blah blah. It is actually that track from that soundtrack that will feature on this soundtrack because they pulled tracks. It's like when they say it's something from Will Smith. It's not a re-recorded version. It's that song.
Yeah.
So I think you'll find that it will be on that soundtrack album, but I don't think it will necessarily be played as background music in the movie to the background of the scene as it was in the 86 movie.
Are you saying it's similar to how we got the touch on the radio, on Bumblebee's radio in Bumblebee?
Yeah, I think that's likely. Having said that, I'm a bit of a soundtrack buff, and I'm completely unfamiliar with the work of the guy who's doing the score for this movie. So I don't the thing is that the Vince DiCola soundtrack to the 86 movie, as much as I absolutely adore it, it's very much an electronic sort of score of its time and synthesizer and stuff. And I don't know. I don't think it fits very well with sort of the idea of a modern movie score. At the same time, this movie does seem to have its musical roots very firmly in the 90s, which is not that far removed from the 80s. So, maybe there'll be a bit of it, but I just think the presence of this on the score album, on the soundtrack album, does not actually necessarily mean it will be in the movie. I think it's just a nice little throwback and an Easter egg.
Yeah, but it will be, and it will be fantastic, so it's good.
It totally will be the first thing that you hear in the film now that I've said it.
They're going to play the full 6 minutes, nothing else.
It was
on
just
screen.
putting a whole
Yeah.
Unicron there.
I believe Lorenzo is actually spying on this film, and he's actually sending out a new edit of the film that just it plays the entirety of Unicron's theme start to finish, and then fades to black, and there's just a single line of text that comes up that says "Fuck you, Jason." But yes,
This is what you get for saying it's a reboot.
yes,
Yeah. And as soon as the trailer came out, Jason, I know we've talked, and this is not an original idea at all, but the fact that you can see Unicron attacking a planet with rings around, it's not Earth. Whether or not this movie opens with him attacking, just like the original 86 movie, and maybe it's
I reckon
Primal,
the idea-
maybe it's Primal and Crooner that are taking up the spot of Arborus or Abus, whatever those robot names were.
maybe, yeah. I think the idea that perhaps the film opens with Unicron attacking a planet and eating a planet, just as we saw in the '86 movie. I love that this is even a discussion that we're having, that this could actually be how this thing's moving. Like, do you feel this just sense of excitement of the possibilities of this movie now? Like, there's. It's not an anti-Bay thing or anything like that. It's just we've waited so long for a movie that's actually going to respect the lore and do all of these things, and it's like, we've got a movie it's got Unicron in it. He's a giant planet. There's Beast Wars characters. There's our favorite G1 characters. It's like all of this stuff is being thrown into a blender, and who knows what the hell is going to come out the other side? But it's going to be something new, and we're pretty excited about it, and like I said, it feels like it's pretty respectful of the lore and what's come before. So I'm staggered. Here we are 39 years into this franchise. We're 36, 37 years removed from this original movie, but we're still talking about it and its influences on what's coming out now in a major Hollywood production. So I think it's fantastic. I'm quietly hopeful that this movie could just knock the pants off any Transformers fan.
And again, now
It's
you've
this
said
real
that.
palpable sense of joy almost to it, where it is, like you said, it's like this is a Transformers film. Having heard a few reports, like the way people talk about it, it sounds like the robots are on screen all the fucking time, and the trailers, you watch these trailers. You don't have the US military. You don't have, some juvenile, Bay humor thing, like Sam going to college. It's like, the military's the big one. It's like just not having the whole thing being a recruitment drive for the
Army
US
porn.
Army.
Army porn.
Well, apparently
State
Revenge of the Fallen
signed,
is...
sealed, and approved.
Yeah, apparently there is a mention of Revenge of the Fallen, which I don't know how when it hasn't happened yet, but some scenes in that. But interestingly, I don't know. Oh yes, everyone of course loved the 2 minutes and 9 seconds of the intro of Bumblebee. What's the bet? It ends up just being the shot for shot Unicron destroying a planet here at the start of this movie, and then it descends into chaos and Bayism after that.
Well, that's. I'm hoping that we get something. I hope we get a really fun start. A really fun start would be Unicron, coming in, and then you seeing all these, maximals, and I'm guessing because we're all thinking that at least Scourge will be there at that time, and he's the Herald. He's like Galactus's Herald. He's Unicron's Herald. Coming down and preparing the planet to die or preparing the planet to be consumed. And then he takes out the major threats, so he'll probably take out Ape-Link and most of the Maximals and Predacons that live there. We're not actually sure if this planet contains Predacons, or maybe Predacons come from another planet or whatever. But he prepares the planet to be consumed, a huge battle with, hopefully, as Jason said, lots of beasts ensues. And, then we just have, I guess, possibly a lot of the Maximals and possibly Predacons escaping the planet, just like they did in Cybertron, they escaped Cybertron in the Bumblebee movie. But except in this part, Cybertron just dies and goes offline, in the Bumblebee movie, or just goes dormant, this planet will just completely be consumed, and that'd be really cool. And hopefully to the soundtrack of the Unicron medley.
Well, we should mention.
I like it. I like when we say the Unicron medley. It makes it sound like a nice, joyous and light, fluffy song.
No, it is not. It is very hardcore.
It is a bit of a bop. It's like,
it's a head bopper.
After the first 40 seconds or so, it's like
synthwave. Yeah, that's good.
It makes you forget that the planet's dying.
It's just you're really hyped for all these people, this mass genocide. So it's great.
Yeah. Good fun.
But yeah, I'm really excited for this. And just to touch on before, we've been waiting for this movie a lot longer than we should have been, because it should have come out ages ago. But the fact that they've put a lot of effort into it, and they've made a lot of changes since the original. The original movie could have been a lot different to what it is now. So I think they've, by taking the extra year, because this movie was supposed to be out more than a year ago. But hopefully, the changes they've made makes up for that, and we get a really good movie. And there's less than a week to go, so let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Damn it! I keep leaving my train of thought. Yes. Well, I suppose, as we've said before, all the different factions in this. The bit of Beast Wars lore with the Beasts coming well after G1 and that in the time frame, but here they've sort of spun it around, and now the Beasts seem to be the precursors to everything else. But I suppose
I haven't seen enough trailers to ascertain that, but I always think the spin of the Beasts coming later in the G1 lore it's a really difficult one to explain for audiences. So I think if they come up with a different origin for the Beast, I'm fine with it. I think it's okay.
Well, it's the only way you're going to get Prime and all that to interact with that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've talked a bit about Scourge. He's didn't appear on the any of the trailers or TV spots for a little bit, but once he did come in, obviously, Max, you mentioned it before, running through Bumblebee. We'll see how long that lasts. He's got the faction logos all on his arms as well, obviously trophies. I don't want to see him die at the end of this movie. This franchise has a bad run streak of killing its big bad, and then having to find a way of bringing that big bad back in the following film. It's a shame. This could have easily been Lockdown. We know in Age of Extinction that Lockdown and Prime had some they'd met before. I know you wouldn't have been able to kill Lockdown in this movie, but more so. I just want more Lockdown.
It's an interesting thought, actually. Yeah, I think it's an interesting thought. Yes, I think you're right. It could easily have been Lockdown, but also I think cinematically that's retreading ground that's gone before in a movie that didn't necessarily perform to expectations. So I would say there would be a lot of resistance to actually making Lockdown the bad guy for a second film.
There's no... In saying that, there's nothing that says they can't do it, because they could just completely change his look, change his voice actor, and then just have a version in the background, not being the main villain or anything. He could be the villain in the next or the next movie. I got to say, The Last Night and Age of Extinction are pretty poor films, especially The Last Night. But at least Age of Extinction had a decent villain, and Lockdown was really, really cool. It just sucked that there was so much of that other stuff in that movie. But yeah, I personally Lockdown's one of my favorite characters in general, so I wouldn't mind seeing a new version of him, or even him resurging in these movies.
Well, we know why, because obviously we've got Unicron here, so we need his heralds, or we need to be able to use the name Scourge, since I don't think it's been added to anything in the movie character list before.
No.
Except for some random toy somewhere that may have been a one-step changer. But yeah, you're obviously going to have Scourge here, even though he's not going to look anything like previous versions of the character. But,
the winged,
but of course he's got to go up against Prime, so he's going to be a different version of a semi-truck for the toy.
I mean, he's the closest thing to character arc wise, Scourge is a herald of Unicron, and they're both heralds of Unicron. But then they're taking a couple of cues from different versions of Scourge. So obviously the herald of Unicron part is the G1 Scourge, but the design and the truck alt mode is more of the RID Scourge. But that Scourge was a kind of a clone of Optimus Prime, which could be in this movie. There are some fan theories that the Optimus Prime from the future is Scourge, which has not been confirmed or denied yet.
Okay.
I personally did think it for a while, but then I also thought it was weird, and I don't really believe it anymore.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I want it to happen. Like I
See,
think it'd be really good if they did. But
the
it's not
thing
gonna
that
happen.
points towards it being true is clearly Scourge's face design is the Terracon mask, and it is a mask. Like, he's hiding something. We just don't know what he's hiding, because it's kind of like Tarn from the RDW comics. He was hiding his true alias. So, and there's been a couple of close-ups of his head that have similar sculpts. I'm not saying it's true or not, but have similar sculpts to the Bayverse Prime's head design. So there is that. But then again, these movies are notorious for reusing parts from other Transformers to make new Transformers. So I'm hoping it's just like a throw-off. It's one of those things that they put out there to say, oh, we're going to start the discussion, we're going to have a big discussion around it, and we're going to, have fan theories and make fan theories and everything. I personally don't think it's going to happen, but I like that it's a possibility. I think it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, even there's been occurrences where I've just straight up used existing character designs and just slapped a different name on them to sell a different
Bone
toy.
Crusher has been in like every single Transformers movie, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's in this movie somehow.
Yeah.
He's literally in Revenge of the Fallen, he's just driving in the background. In Dark of the Moon, he's just in Chicago, just, I don't know, having fun.
It's him and Long Haul.
Long Haul as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep, definitely.
Yeah, so it's weird.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's start to close off a bit here on the movie itself. There's been posts online, like we've all mentioned bloody Bonaventura a few times, the shit he's saying. Someone come out like on one of the news sites saying what a complete mess the production of this film is. You've seen the trailers, like we're all excited for it. Go and see the film and make up your own opinion. Don't listen to people that are writing stories and aren't necessarily fans, just reacting.
Can I just say, Brad, on that point,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was a very, very early screening of the movie where the CGI wasn't done. So that's why he said it was an unwatchable mess. They literally just put it out there to show the story.
Oh, okay.
But lots of the CGI wasn't done. So this is why this one person who saw this screening said it was bad, because it was an unfinished movie with a lot of, it was probably not even the full movie, but this person saw this one thing and didn't say, they didn't preface it by saying, this is an incomplete movie. They just prefaced it by saying, this movie is shit, don't go watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one person so far. The people who've seen the completed movie has said it's one of the best Transformers movies that's been released yet.
Yep.
And probably Bumblebee just maybe beating it, but who knows? But that one person saw an incomplete movie, so that's what I got to say.
Well, you get 100 comments on a post or something, and that one negative one's what everyone's going to focus on, so that's fully understandable. On Max, I remember you posted between a couple of TV spots of bit of a change in Prime CG design as well, and for the most part, the CG throughout the lineup, the trailers and all that's been it looks pretty good. So unlike
it started off looking a little iffy, but it's definitely improved as time's gone on, and right now I think it looks fantastic.
The first trailer, Prime looked a bit janky, I'll admit, but every trailer since he's looked a lot better.
Yeah,
so that's fine.
Yeah, the whole thing right now looks crisp as anything.
Yeah.
I think there was a point when we looked at the first trailer and I said, some of the scenes with, I think RC hanging out the side of Wheeljack, and the road just looks like it's blank, there's nothing there. And now in the later scenes, there's a lot more texture on it. There's all of these shots that were in the early trailers, they were unfinished. And
Interesting.
I pointed this stuff out, and people were just like, "You're an idiot. It was unfinished CGI." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Well,
Interesting you say that. There's possibly something hidden in that scene. I don't want to say it because it possibly could be a spoiler, but the reason why RC is reacting like that, going is because someone might be getting hit by that missile. So and that person or that thing is missing from that's been edited out of that scene. So I've heard something along those lines. But I think
it would not be the first time trailers have been edited, so we see stuff that is not in the film or changed differently in the film.
Or can I say, when speaking of trailers, it reminds me of the Dark of the Moon trailer. Speaking of how poorly these trailers can be put out, remember in the Dark of the Moon trailer, it shows that scene where literally Sam is being rescued by Bumblebee, but Starscream's head's blowing up, and it's just like they're showing a major character dying in this trailer. That's pretty crap of them. And I remember seeing that. So when I was watching that movie, I was kind of just waiting for that scene to happen and Starscream to die. So we have had something similar to that happen in these trailers, and I'm not going to say what it is.
We've had two things. One, which I don't think is a death, and I'm not going to say either of them because they are very spoilery clips from the TV spots. One, which I don't think that character dies, but another where it's like verbatim, this character's fucking dead.
Yeah.
And it's just in a TV spot.
Yeah, which is disappointing because, like, we go to see these Transformers. I know back in the day it was the Michael Bay movies were very human-driven movies with Transformers on the side, but we actually care about all of the robots on the screen, no matter if they're good or bad, and we want to go and see who makes it through the movie for ourselves. So we don't want to be spoiled that.
Yeah, and this isn't new.
It's
bloody Marvel, Star Wars. They're all. A lot of people now just will not watch trailers for a new Marvel movie or anything because they just love, whether it's the editors, whatever it is, just love throwing stuff in there that they probably shouldn't.
I know, but for this one it was really hard because I've been looking I just said I'm not going to watch the TV spots, and then they pop up on YouTube. I'm just like, ah.
And it's like most of them aren't
actually
spoilery. There's just really cool little tidbits. There's just like awesome little shots and better looks at the CG models. Like if you're not looking at TV spots or a TikTok account, but then you're missing all these things of certain characters. Like you don't have a good look at Nightbird in any of the trailers unless you go look at TV spots. You don't see Stratosphere at all unless you watch the TV spot and that TikTok they released. So it's like you kind of, you can just wait till the movie, but if you're excited for this thing and you want to know, well, what does Stratosphere look like? You kind of have to go looking for it.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I think there's, especially in the last decade or so, and I think there's especially an art to putting a trailer out these days, and often the production. So in the old days, the trailer would have been, cut from footage in the finished film, and it was put out to promote the film and stuff. But these days, the trailer is produced as a part of the production of the movie. So the same people who work on the CGI for the movie, they'll put that stuff into the trailer and they'll work on that. As Mikey said, there's particular things might get covered up in trailers. It definitely happened in Spider-Man, for example. But
100%.
the art of marketing the movie is it's evolving, and audience expectations about what you'll see in a trailer as you watch this the trailer on TV, or if if it pops up on YouTube as you're watching something, like the expectations of what we want to see in trailers has evolved. The art of putting things into the trailer and making a trailer appealing and exciting people. Like if you look at trailers for movies from even like the 80s and the 90s, even the early 2000s, trailers are just assembled differently now because the audience expectation has shifted, and so a lot of us will look at the trailers and just go, oh shit, they're spoiling everything and stuff. But people kind of don't care. Like they're going to watch the trailer and just go, wow, this movie looks awesome. I don't care that it's spoiling things because it's showing me cool stuff. I'm going to go to the movie and I'm going to pay to see the movie because I want to see more cool stuff. They don't necessarily care what's been spoiled in the trailer anymore.
I think a lot of older trailers had a big focus on it. There's a lot more voiceover, like the classic trailer voice, and then promoting the specific big star actors. But then also they just spoiled everything. Like the idea of trailers not spoiling things, you're right, is a bit of a more recent thing. I think that the classic example is Revenge of the Sith, where the first trailer for Revenge of the Sith just was a clip show of the entire movie. It was like Battle of Coruscant,
that's still pretty common.
Going through one thing after the other until it eventually climaxes, and you just see each plot thread, all these character deaths, from the outset, because it's selling you on, that's just how they did it.
I think that still happens though as well. It's just maybe it's not the media that we consume that sees all this stuff, or maybe just maybe we don't see all of these spoilery things anymore because we're all binging Netflix where there's no ads or something instead. But the parts of where there's bits of trailers spliced together and they do spoil stuff, that definitely still happens. It's actually exceedingly rare for a movie to hold on to its big secret all the way through its marketing and its promotion. I was discussing this with someone the other day, and I think in recent memory, the only movie that I can think of in the last few years that really held on to its secret was actually the UFO movie Nope, which came out last year, and that was the trailer for that hid so much of the actual movie. It was great. The movie was legitimately surprising by the time you actually went in and watched it. So I think this thing of trailers still spoil movies. I think also the voiceover stuff that you mentioned, I think they put voiceovers in movies in movie trailers a lot less these days because there's such a global market for these things. And if you put a voiceover on, you need to record that voiceover in multiple languages. Whereas if you just show on-screen text, that's easier to translate and it's easier to update and render stuff out. So you're not waiting for humans to come along and record this stuff. So I think that's kind of a sign of the times as to how production of this stuff has changed over the years. You're just less likely to get like a voiceover narratively linking parts of the trailer together. And I think a lot of the time these days they try to let the movie speak for itself in trailers instead of potentially misleading the audience with voiceovers that will amp it up and tell you how much more exciting the movie is than it actually is and things like that.
I think it's a bit variable because because I've been diving through all the TV spots to get spread out there. There's no you take voiceovers for instance. There's none of that in any of the English language trailers or TV spots, but in Japanese, Korean, and Malaysian, Paramount, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, they all have, I don't know what the fuck they're saying. They could be saying nothing whatsoever, but it's a bloke shouting in a loud voice as the trailer's going through, talking about.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. It's a global market, and culturally, that's how the movies get promoted in those territories.
Yeah, exactly.
There is someone voiceovering and hyping it up.
For Western audiences, maybe we've shifted away from that, but different audiences are going to respond to different things. Western audiences, you remember, the 2010s, every single movie trailer had the Hans Zimmer boom, that.
Yep.
Every single trailer had that. It's just, these trends that change over time. Or every trailer now has an end credits scene to the fucking trailer. It's movies all have end credit scenes, and now every single trailer has an end credit scene as well.
Or a teaser
here's
of the
a
trailer.
Little stinger. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a countdown. Trailer starts. Dun, dun, and just clip shows for trailer.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of trailers before trailers.
No.
Because
that's the worst.
We're there for a reason.
Why do you need a trailer for it's bizarre.
Yeah. It's social media algorithms. It's like someone's scrolling through Facebook, then you need to show them the big exciting thing so they don't go, oh, here's a 2-minute trailer, I'm not going to watch the whole thing.
This is the thing though, right? It's a teaser, then it's an official trailer. And then it's the movie gets released, right? Or there's multiple teasers, then there's an official trailer, there's an official trailer 2 or 3, and then there's a TV spots and stuff. And it's they're all just trailers. They're either all trailers or they're all teasers. They're teasing the audience and trying to get them to come along, or they're all trailers and they're showing you what's going to happen in the movie. I think the terminology for this stuff is so messed up these days. And ultimately, I blame marketing people, right? I say I blame marketing people, but marketing has evolved over the last 20 or 30 years, and there's a massive science to how you market these things now, and that every single part of the trailers that we see, it's all been researched, and they'll have tested it, they'll have decided that this plays better than this in the trailer, this is likely to result in 0.1% more ticket sales if we put this bit in the trailer and stuff. And it's a science. It's an art and it's a science. And it's just I'm sounding like an old man shouting at a cloud, right? Like it's just indicative of where we are as a society, culturally, in terms of the movie going audience and market. And don't forget also, like, these things, this is designed to get bums on seats in cinemas, right? They want people to pay money to see the movie. It's as simple as that. Like, if the movie looks exciting, people will go and see it. You know what? Ultimately, the four of us can sit here and say however excited we are about the movie and whatever we think about the characters and stuff that's going to happen. Joe Q public is just going to go, shit, that Transformer blew up and it looks awesome. I'm going to go and see more of that.
Robots fighting robots.
Right?
Well,
absolutely.
I'm going to tell you how excited I am to see this movie. I'm seeing it on the 8th, 9th, and 10th. So, yeah, I'm... And it's funny, because I was one of the people, before we knew this whole... the premiere or the premiere screening for all the states, or most of the states. And then the advanced
states
screenings. The states that count.
Sorry,
yeah.
The states that have power.
But yeah, before we knew about any of that, or the advanced screenings that are done, which is really good on them, I was actually really upset that it was being pushed back to the 22nd. But everything working out the way it has now, I'm still seeing it 3 times before it officially gets released in Australia on the 22nd. So yeah, I'm happy with how that worked out. But yeah, it's still a little bit annoying that most of the general public are going to have to wait till the 22nd. But for the at least for the fans.
I think they're hoping that by the 22nd, everyone will have seen Across the Spider-Verse 4 times, and they'll be done with it, and then they can go and see Rise of the Beast.
Yeah.
Well,
that is my only theory about why the movie got delayed.
Yeah, funnily enough, I am actually... So I saw Across the Spider-Verse the day it came out, and I am also seeing it the day before I see Rise of the Beast. So it'll be Across the Spider-Verse, Rise of the Beast, Rise of the Beast, Rise of the Beast. So it's going to be a good week.
Across the Beastiverse.
Across the Beastieverse. Yeah. Beasties as the
It's
UK
the Canadian
version.
Yeah.
No, Beasties is the UK, isn't it? Or the Canadian version?
No, it's Canadian. Yeah.
Canadian. Oh, I always thought it was UK. So the Canadian version, Beasties. But yeah, so yeah, look, we were kind of a little bit hard done by, but at least they recognized, look, the fans are going to get to see it, and the fans are going to be able to see it. And as far as I know, these screenings are starting to sell out a bit, so hopefully that's good for the movie. And yeah.
I've seen early spec. I actually find it really astonishing that such speculation or analytics exists projecting first weekend or 2 weeks of ticket sales for Rise of the Beasts, given that those ticket sales haven't occurred yet, unless they're just going off like pre-sale data, which is a thing now. I don't know if you guys have ever purchased a movie ticket so far in advance.
No.
How far? What's your record for in advanced purchases, Mikey?
I think it was the one that I can remember. The most recent one would be Spider-Man 3, the new one. I think.
Careful, you probably should say Far From Home on that one.
Yeah, sorry.
Or No Way Home.
No Way Home. Yeah, so it's No Way Home. So with No Way Home, I think it was like possibly 2 or 3 weeks notice for the release.
Do you know when I bought the tickets for Across the Spider-Verse? I saw it last night. 6 p.m. session. I bought the tickets at 5:40.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't buy tickets this far in advance, but the on sale date of tickets is now an event that is marked in calendars, and like I have had people ask me on multiple times over the last couple of years, do you have your tickets for this movie that's coming out in like a couple of months yet? I'm like, shit, no, I don't. Like, I'm just going to go buy them on the day. Like, I don't buy tickets that far in advance. Like, I haven't had problems getting into these movies yet. I think some of the Marvel movies, you might end up having to hunt for a session if you want to go out on a particular day at a particular time. But no, it hasn't really been a problem. But the fact that tickets are on sale for all of these sessions so far in advance does give them a bit of an indication of how popular a particular movie is going to be, and so they'll project box office takings a couple of weeks in advance, which is where we get into the weirdness of this story, which is basically Hasbro has said that they're really happy with the projected first couple of weeks of box office sales for the movie. I'm like, but that hasn't happened yet. How do you know if you're happy with it or not?
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It's just algorithms, right? It's like, movie generates a certain amount of social media buzz. Like, there's a certain amount of other movies generating similar amounts of buzz, and this is how many sales have gone out. This is how much these theaters that we communicate with have allocated. And so it's like, you might go, oh, this is all, like, hypothetical. We can't really predict accurately from this. But it's just enough time has passed away. Collect this data for previous movies and go, okay, this, we know these numbers X, Y, and Z, theater numbers, social media buzz, pre-ticket sales, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That produced a movie that made this much money on opening weekend, and then this set of numbers produced a movie that made this much money on opening weekend, and then eventually it's just algorithms, and eventually they can just predict it and go, this is what it's going to do.
It's basically Chat GPT for movie analytics, right?
Now that I think about this, so if they're going for the first 2 weeks, obviously most of Australia and New Zealand won't be able to be accounted for because they're not really getting the full release. I haven't heard anything. I'm hoping that New Zealand has also been looked after. Just because personally, we don't really hear too much about New Zealand here, or at least their box office.
You said we don't really hear. I thought you were going to say we don't really care.
No, I love New Zealand. New Zealand's great. They're pretty much just Australia 2.0. But the thing is, I hope they've also been looked after for their fans that also have to wait until the 22nd. I'm not entirely sure.
So I definitely don't know. I do want to, just in terms of like the size of the market in New Zealand, I'm looking at Box Office Mojo for Bumblebee, and I want to see the international market for Box Office Mojo. Oh no, it does. So Bumblebee for Australia grossed. So Bumblebee for Australia grossed 8.1 million, and let's see what it was for New Zealand, just for a comparison of the size of the market. And it's 1.5 million.
Okay. Well, fair.
114 theatres in New Zealand for Bumblebee, and compared to Australia, I think there's going to be 520 theatres. I think it's actually really interesting to think about that. Like, you compare to the domestic US market, 3,550 theatres and 127 million. So like I think it's interesting to keep in perspective the amount of effect that's really going to have on the international box office takings for the first couple of weeks is probably not that great. We are but a drop in the water. Because while we're a large landmass, we're a small population and we're quite spread out. But it's always just interesting to keep this stuff in mind.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So mentioned at the start, we've got a screening coming up on the 8th of June in Victoria. I'm not going to say where that is because I don't want to rush people wanting to get in the doors. It's
fine. There's screenings coming up everywhere from the 9th. Some states have to wait until the 11th, I think, and I think Victoria or New South Wales has to wait until the 11th or something. But like, there are public screenings coming up starting like next weekend.
Yeah, event cinemas have got a screening on the 9th. Dendy cinemas have got a screening on the 10th, and Village have got screenings on the 12th. 11th and 12th, yeah. So there are event screens happening. Google it wherever you are, capital city, smaller town, whatever.
Yeah.
Just check out your local cinema website, whatever it is, and just see if there's a screening there.
All I did for my friend was I just told him, look up Transformers: Rise of the Beast Advanced Screening Australia, and then it came up with 3 different cinemas, with 3 different days, with 3 different times for you to see it. As far as I know, there's still some seats in these.
And Mikey bought a ticket to all of them.
I literally did. I'm actually going all over the place in Sydney. So, that's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I suppose in a week's time, of all 4 of us, I'll be the only one that hasn't seen it. Mikey, you're going to see it well and truly 3 or 4 times for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to be able to do this again in a week or if it's going to be a couple of weeks, but we probably should come back on and discuss the movie once we've all had time to see it.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I agree. It'd be a good episode.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? What we've seen on the Beast? Anything we haven't covered? I think we've sort of looked at it all. Kept it pretty well spoiler free, which I'm happy with.
I think it's going to be a good movie.
Yep.
I think.
I hope so.
It's going to be
a lot. The trailers just have a lot of robots,
Yep.
and that's the main thing. Like the Transformers are there. That's all. Kind of.
I'm going to relay a thought that I saw posted by a friend online. He said that he's read all of the spoilers for it because he likes to be spoiled for movies so that he doesn't spend time trying to follow the plot and ends up enjoying the movie.
Oh.
That's how he consumes it. He said he's read all of the spoilers for it, and he said of all of the things that he's read in the spoilers, he said he's happy with all of it, and he's happy with the way that the plot goes for all of it. And he said there's a couple of things he said he might have done differently if it was his movie, and he said it's fine. He's fine with all of it. So I think that's a pretty good sign.
Mm. Well, that's pretty much what I've done on all the films previous. I haven't gone deep into spoilers. You talked earlier before the recording about end credit scenes and all that. I've got no idea what's going on there. I just haven't looked into any of that. And
I don't.
I'm sure.
I don't know, nor do I want to know.
I'm sure by the weekend, once you've all had a chance to see, I'm going to be annoying the shit out of you, trying to get you to tell me everything. But
mate, you can already haunt threads on TFW.
Oh yeah,
and there's already all the entire thing's out there.
I just want to say, so myself and Clinton will be covering the Sydney event for Toy Reel. So we'll be providing some video and audio from that. So that'll be pretty fun. And yeah, so you'll at least get to see what we see beforehand for the screening. And yeah, I just want to again say, if you are listening, Hasbro and Paramount, thank you for actually caring about the fans this much. You know, I know there were obviously reasons behind your decision to push the movie back, whatever it was. Hopefully, it makes the movie more money, and then we get more movies in the future. So that's the hope.
I'm pretty sure his name was Miles Morales, but yeah.
Yes, well there you go. Thanks, Miles. But it's very convenient that your movie is absolutely amazing, and I really loved it, and I'm happy to see that one again too. But yeah, so thanks Hasbro and Paramount for that opportunity, and yeah, we hope we can stay in your favor for the future for hopefully maybe something like this to happen in maybe in the next movies or so, but we'll see.
Yep, very good.
Fingers
very
crossed.
Good. All right, Jason, Max, Mikey, thanks for joining me on this Sunday afternoon session, looking at the beasts before we get to the beasts. I think that's about it.
It was the pre-beast recording.
Yes, pre-bestial.
Look, so when we do these recordings, we usually talk about new acquisitions. Does anyone actually have like Rise of the Beasts toys to talk about, or any new acquisitions they want to talk about?
Not a single beast related thing whatsoever. No movie stuff at all.
Okay, Mikey.
Sorry, just real quick. I've played Beast Wars Monopoly twice since we've recorded. I'm happy to say that I won the first game and I came second in the second game. Just got to say, if any, I really love this version of Monopoly. It's actually a lot of fun. It's a lot different to the your standard Monopoly, and actually finishes within an hour and a half to 2 hours, not like goes on forever like normal Monopoly. There's actually a lot of fun Transformers aspects to it. Actually transforming has advantages and disadvantages in this game, or maximizing and terrorizing has advantages and disadvantages in this game. So yeah, if you've got a chance, if you can find it for a good price, I'd pick up Beast Wars Monopoly, because it's a really fun game, and if you can play, it's really good. But yeah, that's there might have been a beast that I picked up. I think, well, my figure of the year last year was Inferno, so that's my beast related content there.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough too. I actually do have a couple of Rise of the Beasts acquisitions. Because I went to the JB Hi-Fi event the other day, in order to spin the wheel, I purchased some Transformers products, and so I can show these to the people on the Skype recording. I picked up the little Jada diecast figures. So I got the Optimus Prime and the Bumblebee Camaro.
Nice.
1977 Chevrolet Camaro Bumblebee. So yeah, they're a nice couple of things. They're large die-cast vehicles, and they're $15 each. So yeah,
It's quite a reasonable price.
Also, I do want to remind people as well, since we talked a little bit about JB Hi-Fi and stuff like that. They've actually got a new range of Transformers T-shirts in stock in the last couple of weeks as well. So if you head in, I picked one of them up as well at the event. If you head into the JB Hi-Fi stores, like there's Transformers T-shirts all over the place. Most of them are Optimus Prime. I'm pretty sure all of them actually are Optimus Prime.
They are, yes.
Good spread of designs, if not characters, but they're also pretty reasonable at $25 each.
Yeah.
So give them a go as well.
Yeah. So if you are a massive Megatron fanboy, go in and buy an Optimus Prime one.
If you're a massive Megatron fanboy, head over to radiovelvet.com because there's an absolutely amazing Megatron shirt. Also, the T-shirts from Radio Velvet, they're expensive, but they're extremely high quality, as Mikey will attest because he's wearing one right
they
now.
are very comfortable and very well made. Yeah.
There's fantastic, Megatron artwork. It's one of my favourite pieces from the More Than Meets the Eye exhibition. And so yeah, you can get an awesome Megatron T-shirt on a print on a T-shirt, or you can buy the print yourself as well. But yeah, all of this stuff from the More Than Meets the Eye exhibition, it's on sale at radiovelvet.com.
Yep.
Sweet.
Nice. I picked up a couple of them Jada Toys diecast stuff last year. It would have been. I know they'd done a bigger Optimus Prime as well that I picked up and had my son going because I thought I'd bought him MP10 and it wasn't. But Jada do a lot of franchise figures. It's a shame they only do one or two vehicles, with especially live action Transformers, with just how many vehicles are featured in the films. And they
I walked into JB Hi-Fi yesterday and I saw the Wheeljack vehicle there as well. Okay, so
that's cool.
I think there's a few. There's three that I've seen in that small size. There's the Optimus Prime in a larger size. And they do other franchises as well. I've seen the Time Machine from Back to the Future and stuff as well.
Yeah,
I think they're really sort of getting out there with their die-cast vehicle stuff. Good on them.
Yep. And obviously the movie's got the license for those cars, the looks as well. And I know I've said it before that people don't like figures that don't transform, but just having that G1 Prime there and having the Masterpiece version standing next to it, I reckon would display really well. But that's me.
That sounds fair too.
Yeah, I've been watching the Beast figures come and go at local stores and just couldn't do it. Couldn't pay any money on them except for this past weekend. I picked up the Voyager Prime just because it's Prime. I know the Buzzworthy Bumblebee one's coming, and it's a lot better looking figure, but how easy that's going to be to get and how much it's going to be.
Oh, you got the Rise of the Beasts branded Voyager Prime.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. In fact, I also need to mention I picked up Scourge at the JB event as well. That was one of the prizes that I got for spinning the wheel.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I haven't opened it yet.
That is a good prize.
Take it.
It's a
good prize. Like I said, yeah, they were really going all out on giving out prizes and figures for people. It was really
photos people posted. It was like giant piles of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'll open up Scourge. I'll open up Scourge by the time we record the post movie discussion and see how we go.
We're not going to mark down any dates or times when that's going to happen. It'll happen eventually. I hope it's not 4 months.
You're just going to have to. You're just going to have to get out to the movies next weekend and go see it.
Yeah, well, it probably won't be till the 22nd. Next 2 weekends are pretty full packed on at the moment.
Fair enough.
So, yeah. So anyway, I think that's it. So thanks guys for joining me on this
Thank you.
weird and different way. I don't think we've touched Skype for about 6 years. So.
No,
it's long enough that your Skype account is different. It's not the one that I had on.
I had to download
on my
it.
Skype list. Yeah,
I had to re-download Skype.
Yes,
I
have no idea how to use this thing. I think I'm using a different account as well.
Amazingly, I went from one Skype call to this today. So like I had 2 Skype calls in a row, and yeah, that's almost unheard of.
It's
All right, thanks guys. Thanks for listening to the listeners, and yep, we'll be back for 271 whenever that shall be.
We will be back in the fullness of time.
Yep.
See you guys.
take it
Cheers,
easy.
guys.